Happy Monday, everybody. My name is Brandon Rose, and welcome to episode 313 of the Xbox in 10 podcast, your weekly source of Xbox gaming news covered in around 10 minutes. Every Monday, this podcast covers new game releases, the previous week's gaming news, and we all learn an Xbox-related fun fact together. This show is on YouTube and podcast services around the world, so please subscribe on your favorite and leave a review. Xboxin10.com, no numbers, is your quick source for links to all of our podcast destinations, and social media profiles which you can follow at Xboxin10. Before we start, let's start with a little apology. So, apologies, as I was away on vacation. Apparently, the scheduled episode that should have gone live May 19th, as planned, never uploaded. So that was great. So we missed a week on there that the episode should be uploading now as I record this on Tuesday, May 27th, which is a day late because I just got back from vacation. Apologies, everyone. We will resume our normal schedules this week. So let's catch up. To start, let's talk game releases. The big games out last week were Doom: The Dark Ages, Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny Remaster, and Splitgate 2. The games coming out this week include Cattle Country, Zombie Cure Lab, Black Pieces Move First, Cinder Scratch, Elemental War Crash, Disorder Save Your Family, Slime Color, Pipestral and the Cursed Yo-Yo, Starlight Legacy, To a T, Copycat, Foamography, Dungeon Village 2, Fuga Melodies of Steel 3, Higgs Boson Puzzle Collection, Spray Paint Simulator, Submerse 2 The Hive, Battle Puzzle 2048 Space Girls, Bridge Race, Disney Illusion Island starring Mickey and Friends, Deep Under, Dual Paths, Elden Ring Night Rain, Eternal Evil, F125, Velissa and Baba Yaga, and Kuznetsk 1997 detective visual novel. There are some games you can now play on Game Pass and or are coming soon. You can now play Monster Strain 2, Cloud PC and Series X and S, Creatures of Ava, Xbox Series X and S, Stalker 2, Series X and S, Tales of Gonzara Zao, Cloud PC and Series X and S. On May 27th, you can play Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Cloud Console PC. May 28th, 2 at T, Cloud PC and Series X and S. On May 29th, you can play Metaphor ReFantazio, Cloud PC and Series X and S. And Stray Paint Simulator, Cloud PC and Series X and S. Then on June 3rd, Crypt Custodian Cloud Console and PC, and Symphonia Cloud Console and PC. Now onto last week's biggest news stories, and let's catch up with 8 over the last week and some change. Number 1. Microsoft announces Retro Classics with Game Pass, kicks things off with over 50 Activision games from the 80s and 90s. Wesley Poole at IGN writes, Microsoft has announced Retro Classics with Game Pass, a collaboration with Antstream Arcade to bring a collection of over 50 classic Activision games from the 80s and 90s to Game Pass members. The list includes the likes of Commando, Grand Prix, Kaboom, MechWarrior 2 31st Century Combat, and Pitfall. Some of the games go back 45 years. Players can even save their progress and continue later, a first for many of these games. Microsoft said Retro Classics with Game Pass is, quote, a step in our commitment to game preservation and backwards compatibility, end quote. Retro Classics will be available at all Game Pass membership options in the regions where Game Pass is currently available. Platform sections include Atari 2600, DOS, and Amiga. It's worth noting that there is a PlayStation PSX section of Retro Classics, which currently includes MechWarrior 2 31st Century Combat. MechWarrior 2 31st Century Combat was developed and published by Activision in 1995 on PC, before coming to PlayStation and Sega Saturn in 1997. The only game in the SNES section is 1993's MechWarrior. Over time, Microsoft will add more classic games from Activision and Blizzard's back catalog to Game Pass, expanding the Retro Collection to over 100 games. Expect additional games to be added monthly. I think this is awesome, and when we've seen a lot of stories over the last 2 years about them beefing up their staffing when it comes to backwards compatibility, I guess this is what it was for. Well, yes, we want more of our classic favorites from the Xbox and 360 generation. This is really cool, and the fact that we're getting PS1 games potentially coming through this service is weird but awesome thanks to that Activision acquisition. Excited to see more. Number 2, Hellblade 2 Enhanced announced as a free Xbox update and PS5 port. Lee Brady at True Achievements writes, alongside the news that Ninja Theory's stunning sequel to Hellblade Senua's Saga is heading to Sony's PlayStation platform, Hellblade 2 Enhanced for Xbox has been revealed as a free update to existing owners. The studio is currently a little hush on details, but it's a great excuse to check out one of Xbox Game Studios' most daring releases to date either way. As Microsoft continues to bring its biggest games over to PS5 this year, we've learned that a new Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 Enhanced will launch on PS5 sometime in summer 2025. This latest port will reportedly deliver some cool new features to the game, all of which will be made available to Xbox Series X and S and PC players for free at the same time. While we don't know exactly what these enhanced bits will be for a game that already looks incredibly beautiful, maybe one of the very best looking games on the console, it is another domino to fall in the games coming over to PS5. Again, this will continue to happen. I don't think any game is safe. We already got Gears announced. The next, and to me really final domino to fall, is Halo. I would expect Starfield at the end of this year to come over to PlayStation 5. And if you haven't checked out Senua's Saga, I would recommend it, but I would go in the mindset that this is more of an experience than a game. Number 3, Doom the Dark Ages, the biggest launch in its history, but no sales figures yet, was the input at IGN writes. Doom the Dark Ages has seen 3 million players since coming out last week, but Bethesda has yet to announce a sales figure for the game. A social media post from Bethesda confirmed that Doom the Dark Ages is the biggest launch in id Software's history by player count, getting to 3 million 7 times faster than 2020's Doom Eternal. It's worth digging into the details on these numbers. Doom the Dark Ages released across PC, PS5, and Series X and S on May 15, 2025. Steam is the only platform that makes player numbers public, so let's start there. On Steam, Doom the Dark Ages hit a peak concurrent player count of 31,470 and a 24-hour peak of 16,328 concurrent players. Doom Eternal hit a peak concurrent player count of 104,891 5 years ago, a figure that makes the Dark Ages looks like it struggled relatively on Valve's platform. 2016 Doom, for extra context, has a peak concurrent player count of 44,271 on Steam, a figure set 9 years ago. However, we must consider the Game Pass effect when thinking about these numbers. Doom the Dark Ages was a day one launch across Game Pass for both Xbox consoles and PC. There will be a number of people who dipped into the Dark Ages via Game Pass rather than pay the $69.99 it costs to buy the game in the US. The mighty Game Pass effect. Yes, Microsoft and Xbox are very keen on player counts instead of sales figures now, which I get for a subscription service. However, and I'm sure we'll never quite find out for a very long time, how do they deem profitability? Like, did this game clear its budget with the player counts through subscriptions? Those are some of the nerdy numbers I'd love to find out, but regardless, it seems like a lot of people are at least trying the Dark Ages, so shout out to id with them. I cannot wait to check that out this week since I am now back. Number 4, Microsoft celebrates as Xbox vs. FTC officially comes to an end. Fraser Gilbert at Pure Xbox writes, "We never thought we'd see the day, but it's finally happened. Fresh off a recent blow in the fight against the Xbox Activision Blizzard takeover, the FTC has announced today that it's dropping its case against Microsoft. In a filing, the FTC said that the public interest is best served by dismissing the administrative litigation in this case, and therefore the complaint over the Activision Blizzard acquisition has officially been dismissed by the court. Microsoft President Brad Smith then took to social media to celebrate the news as a victory for players. Earlier this month, the FTC was informed by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that the Commission hadn't been able to convince that Xbox's takeover of Activision Blizzard would, quote, substantially lessen competition in the relevant markets, end quote. It was believed that another appeal could have followed that decision, but the most likely outcome was the FTC was going to drop the case, and that's indeed what happened today. And that is all I will say. We are done talking about Xbox versus the FTC when it comes to Activision Blizzard, hopefully forever on this show. Number 5, Avowed director quits Obsidian after more than a decade for job at Netflix-owned Oxenfree studio. Tom Phillips at IGN writes, Avowed director Carrie Patel has quit legendary RPG company Obsidian Entertainment just months after its recent game's launch. In an update to her LinkedIn page, Patel revealed that she had begun a new job at Night School, the Netflix-owned developer behind the Oxenfree series of narrative adventures. Cool, I'm happy to share that I'm starting a new position as game director at Night School, a Netflix game studio, end quote, Patel wrote in a brief update. Patel's new role at Night School will be again as a game director, though what she's working on remains unannounced. Night School is most famous for its Oxenfree series of games, the most recent being 2023's Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals. The Netflix-owned studio launched Black Mirror spin-off Thronglets earlier this year, around the same time it suffered an unknown number of layoffs. Months before Netflix completely shut down another one of its studios working on a AAA game project headed up by Halo veteran Joseph Staten. Patel had been a veteran of Avowed developer Obsidian and over 11 years worked in various senior positions on games such as Xbox sci-fi RPG The Outer Worlds and the classic Pillars of Eternity series. Unfortunately, we had to highlight this as Xbox has lost yet another veteran talent to Netflix gaming, which is interesting, and they did highlight the last one was Joseph Staten, who did leave Microsoft and Xbox to go work on a AAA game that was later shut down by Netflix, so it'll be interesting to see what she is now working on. I played a few hours of the first Oxenfree and I really enjoyed it, I just never went back to beat it. Maybe I should do that this year. Number 6, report BioShock announcement set for this summer as 2K prepares franchise return. Ben Carey at Pure Xbox writes, "It's been a little while since we've heard anything concrete on the next BioShock game, but rumors have been swirling about this one for a while now, and a fresh report today claims that an announcement on the franchise is imminent. According to outlet MP First, publisher 2K is, quote, preparing an announcement related to the BioShock franchise, end quote, and that the announcement, quote, will occur fairly soon, most likely before the end of summer, end quote. It is said that the announcement could be for a new game in the series, or potentially something related to the franchise's Netflix project. Quote, at this point we don't know what the announcement will be about. It could be the reveal of initial details about one of the projects announced several years ago, such as BioShock 4 or the upcoming Netflix movie. Some of the information we've come across also seems to suggest another possibility, a remake or a proper remaster of the original BioShock, end quote. Speaking of the last point that touches on a potential BioShock remake, the report also suggests that the City of Rapture will play a significant role in the upcoming announcement. And the information gathered by the source contains clear references to the original 2007 BioShock. A BioShock collection released for the Xbox way back in 2016 containing a more rudimentary remaster of the original BioShock. Although BioShock 4 is mentioned in the above quote, there, so far at least, rumors have pointed towards a completely different setting for the upcoming sequel, rather than something set in Rapture. Ultimately, this is all just rumor for now, so we'll have to wait and see what 2K is planning, but it's been a good while since we've seen anything on the franchise, so here's hoping we have some fresh BioShock news sooner rather than later. And I couldn't agree more. Back in 2023, I went back and played all the BioShock games, and man, is that a stellar franchise. It's crazy that it's been gone for so very long, so I can't wait to see more. I'm assuming that maybe this is going to be for the Netflix show, but BioShock 4 was in that Nvidia leak years ago, and we've really heard nothing and have seen nothing of this game. So that has me excited either way. Number 7, Marvel Rivals adds Ultron to the lineup in Season 2.5. Blair Marnell at GameSpot writes, the first half of Marvel Rivals Season 2 introduced the White Queen, Emma Frost, to the game's ever-expanding lineup of heroes and villains. Now it's the bad guy's turn as Ultron makes his debut as a playable character when Marvel Rivals Season 2.5 begins on May 30th. In the lore of Marvel Comics, Ultron is the creation of the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym, and one of the Avengers' greatest adversaries. For Marvel Rivals, Ultron is characterized as a strategist, and he can battle alongside a small army of drones that obey his commands. NetEase Games is also making some adjustments to Marvel Rivals team-up abilities by removing 4 abilities and adding 6 new ones. Additionally, Jeff the Land Shark is getting a Jeff NATO team-up ability. Marvel Rivals will also unveil proficiency avatars on the Match Hero Select wheel, including mood and emojis personalization systems. Shout out to Marvel Rivals. I have not played in a while, but anytime I see a new story, I'm excited for it because that game is just damn fun. And number 8, Capcom is expanding its dev studios following years of record profits. Ben Carey at Pure Xbox writes, earlier this month we posted about another incredibly successful year for Japanese game maker Capcom, and now it's announced its intentions to expand considerably over the next few years in the wake of that success. As shared by the folks over at VGC, Capcom says it's building a new development base in Osaka to be completed by 2027. The Resident Evil dev says that this new building will allow the team to expand by 100 employees each year once it's been constructed. This news comes from the company's latest financial call, which dropped earlier this month, revealing an 8th year of record profits on the bounce. There are also plans for Capcom to acquire more land for future dev buildings too, which will likely go ahead if the team continues to see levels of success in the coming years. Shout out to Capcom, man. When Resident Evil 7 came out in 2017, it really felt like that was the start of this comeback for Capcom. And since then, they had huge success with Monster Hunter Worlds and now Wilds, and they just continue to deliver great game after great game. Obviously, as I mentioned on the show, Resident Evil is arguably my favorite franchise of all time, so Capcom gets that credit, and we should be hearing about Resident Evil 9 this year. Please be true. As always, we end our show with a fun fact about Xbox, so let's go through Doom. Credit to Pure Xbox on this one. This is how you can play the Doom games in chronological order if you are so interested. They are as followed. Doom, Doom 2 Hell on Earth, Final Doom, Doom 64, Doom the Dark Ages, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, the Old Gods DLC, and then Doom 3. This year I beat my first Doom games in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, so as I mentioned, I'm excited to try out Doom the Dark Ages. Thank you all for listening to the Xbox in 10 podcast, your weekly source of Xbox gaming news covered in around 10 minutes. If you like the show, please subscribe on your favorite podcast service, share with your friends, leave a review, and follow on social media at Xbox in 10. This past week, as I said, I was traveling, so I have not played any games really, besides the typical Marvel Snap. But I am excited to get back to Claire Expedition 33 and Doom the Dark Ages. My name is Brandon Rose. You can follow me on Xbox at Bros93. Hope you all have a great week, stay safe, and keep on gaming.